Right. Well, yesterday was Big Green Day. What's today? The 18th. Next day. So, we got some videos uploaded for the Bowdrill. So I noticed there weren't a whole lot of views on those and not a whole lot of likes. So sometimes it's going to be that way. Not everybody is interested in learning a more primitive fire lighting skill. So it is what it is, right? But go back over here. Check this email here. See if I have any kind of a Alright, I got an email from the fella in Canada. Okay. He asked for my reaction to a document. So I did quickly look over this document last night because I woke up and I saw this email. And I checked the document real quick, and the document looks okay. He said it was generated by artificial intelligence, so that should tell you something. That means that it's probably going to have errors in it, even though everybody puts so much stock in AI, you know. I don't mess with AI at all because, to me, it's a tool of the devil. You know, that's the way I feel about it. Okay. Yeah. So it was basically about types of wood and what's good for fire lighting and blah blah blah. You know. So I'll take a closer look at that today and and then go from there. Let's see. Okay, he says it recommends for friction fire starting what materials, and then it says old man's beard. Okay, lichen, right? You know, I'd say leave the lichen for the deer or the caribou or the reindeer because they eat it. You know. But yeah, you could use old man's beard, you know, as long as it's dry. Now, what you guys got to remember is, especially in the winter time, tinder is even it's I have a saying, and I've said it on here before. When the snow blows and the wind bites, gather your tinder at shoulder height. You know, so lichen might be also included in that. But again, that's a food for, deer and caribou and reindeer and whatnot. So I just leave that be. I'll find something else. And another thing is that when we go into the wilderness. Okay, when we go into the wilderness, especially in a winter environment, right, where generally, either I'm going with a larger rucksack and nothing else, like I'm not towing a poke. Then I might strap the snowshoes to the outside of the rucksack. It might be a heavier load, but then the snow can't be as deep. That's when the snow is, 6 inches or so, right? You can post hole a little bit, but you're not going to want to post hole a whole lot with a heavy rucksack, right? So that's why we use the pokes. You grab your poke, put your heavy rucksack lengthwise in there. Put a smaller rucksack on uh, with essentials in case you get separated from the main. Right? It's the whole line type mentality. Right? You do the same thing with the bulk and your what's on your body. What's on your body in your smaller rucksack. All of these things come into account. But whenever I go into the wilderness, I always have tinder on me anyway, right? I always have dry tinder. Sometimes it could be a lot of elephant grass or something, or you get what I'm saying, right? Some type of a grass or whatever stuffed into a large Ziploc bag in my pocket. I'm talking large, right? So if I'm wearing a smock, I might have one huge area that's full of a Ziploc bag full of tinder. Because what if it's raining for days? What then? What are you gonna do? One of the tricks in the jungle is to have, and now I'm all over the place here with my environments. So just understand that. So let's say I'm in the jungle, right? One of the best ways to light a fire is a rubber inner tube. I know, yeah, black smoke going up into the atmosphere, but it is what it is. If you're in dire need to get a fire started, you gotta do what you gotta do. Right? So, you might be carrying some fat wood. I like to carry, a couple sticks of fat wood on my person at all time. More fat wood in the rucksack. Okay? It's not gonna, it gets wet, it's not gonna hurt it. You get dunked in a canoe. There we are again, we're changing locations. You get dunked in a canoe, it ain't gonna bother your fat wood. I also like to carry, birch bark and stuff like everybody else. Then, again, going back to the cold, right, where you're pulking. If you're pulking, you can carry more stuff than you will carry more stuff than you usually do. You'll be carrying, stuff to ward off the bitter cold, right? You want to carry some road flares in your fire kit when you go into the big woods when it's extreme winter, okay? Because if there's a situation where you just can't get a fire going, you pop a flare and you stick it in the midst of a bunch of tinder and kindling, and that will get it started, because flares, they're designated to burn certain amount of time period, right? So if okay, this is a 15-minute flare, then you know that it's gonna burn for 15 minutes, and it should be able to get something started in 15 minutes. Of course, if you're putting it into a pulk kit, then you could have a few 30-minute flares, depending on the length of time that you're going to be out there and everything. But fire is life, as they always say, right? With fire you can boil water, cook your food, wash your face. Yeah, fire gets things done. Get you some clean water, warm water, cooking water, so forth, right? So, yeah, we want to know about as many different types of fire lighting as we can. That's our goal, is to know as many kinds of fire lighting as we can and be proficient, right, in them. Now, let's see here. I'm going to come back to his email here. he says he took the teeth of a saw and he scored his spindle for his Bowdrill. So, probably so he could get more traction, right? That's what I was talking about here yesterday. Well, not yesterday because it was an old video. In the video yesterday, I was talking about putting ridges and flats all around the spindle to give your, all around that spindle to give your bowstring something to purchase, right? To grab onto. Okay? So that's a good idea. You could score the sides of it, rough it up a bit, right? So, and that also, okay, I have always in the past used the saw back on my tracker knife, and I have also used my Baco Laplander and my Swiss Army knife. I've used all those. I've used the Brewer Explorer knife when I was using that regularly decades ago. The black one, though, that was my first one. I had the black one first. But I would score wood and then I would feather stick it. So when you score wood with a saw, it makes all these micro cuts in it. Okay? You guys paying attention? Don't fall asleep. So it puts all these micro cuts in the wood. And then when you do your feather stick, you'll get all of these micro feathers. Okay? So you'll be like, shh, and then all of a sudden you'll see like a lot of little feathers come off. Not just one. Right? So this is something I've done in the past on video, but I don't know if anybody caught it or not. But that's what I'm doing. I'm scoring the wood with the saw, and then feather sticking. Okay. So a lot of people don't like this. Well, it's a Gerber knife. I can't remember what they call it. ASEC or something. I have one. It's a good knife. It's a tough knife. It was designed for the U.S. military. But I have that knife, and it has a little portion for cutting through fuselage, right? So you could just take that, and I have scored wood with that, and then went ahead and did my feather sticking. Come up with some really nice feather sticks, guys. So, yeah. He asks about, in his email, Canada. Okay, so they're still on Canada here. He says, right, so he's asking about how did Charles Brewer get divots in stone bearing blocks, right? Okay. He shows me something that he did with a carbide drill. Alright, so one thing we have to learn to, one thing we have to remember is, and I'm running out of time, one thing that we have to remember is we look back, we gotta look back. We gotta look back in time, right? American Indians and people down in the jungle and whatnot. Even over in Britain, you see some stone artifacts where they constantly have sharpened their knives, they've constantly worked arrow shafts and so on. All that stuff wears away into its shape over time. And if you have soft rock, and you have really hard wood, you could bow drill the rock. Okay, you could bow drill the rock and make you a divot. okay? Because the Inuit up north, I seen them use their tooth as a bearing. In the middle of their teeth as a bearing block, and then they had a small bow, and they were using it as a drill to drill through something that was going to become a part of a bulkhead of a canoe, right? So that they could put the cordage through, right, to bind it all together. See, so use the Bowdrill as a drill, not just for fire. So you put the Bowdrill piece in there. You could put, a very hard rock at the tip, or you can put a piece of metal. You see what I'm saying here? So you can get it done. These are the ways they do things, or they did things. You could still do them. Catch you later.